Hi, good morning. I was literally just sitting here working away, and I realised it was 8 o'clock. So um, my apologies for, in fact, being a minute late. So really sorry for that. So every Thursday at approximately 8 a.m. UK time, we do a live streaming webinar for our ZP Developer Zone members, and this is that webinar. Today's a little bit different, and that's because we had a sort of a particular question regarding how do I join ZP. So let me just dive into it anyway. So I put this slide up every week, and if you watch these presentations, hey, cool. If you watch these presentations, then you probably are a member of the ZP Developer Zone. Every week we do this webinar. This week I'm going to focus more on jobs, which is cool because people are very keen sometimes to know how to join ZP. So I'll give a quick sort of summary and a bit of a chat about how to join ZP. So we often do in this forum technical presentations, and today it will be a little bit less technical, and I'm actually going to talk about jobs and careers at Zimmer & Peacock. I think the first thing to sort of mention about jobs and careers at Zimmer & Peacock is kind of how do you get your foot in the door with us. Now everything I'm going to talk about is on our website under zimmerpeacocktech.com/hiring. So this is really just information from the website, but the easiest way to get, unfortunately, to get into Zimmer & Peacock, and I know this is the first let's say hurdle, is I realise this is buffering again. I realise the first hurdle is actually getting into Zimmer & Peacock is whether you're in the UK or not, and therefore if you're in the UK, it's super useful. That's good. I was just worried about the internet for a second there, but if you're in the UK, that's really easy to, in some ways, to get into Zimmer & Peacock. Because we can kind of give you a 3-month contract and essentially try you out, make sure everything's good, and you can be you can essentially be with Zimmer & Peacock that way. Now the other way into Zimmer & Peacock is through postdocs. So there's three ways into us with postdocs, and I'll talk about those. There's PhDs available, and I'm sorry, there's PhDs available, and then there's also masters available with us as well, and there's also undergraduate opportunities, and then there's also sabbaticals. What I will do is, if you just give me a second, I'm just going to make sure that we're still streaming to YouTube properly. I was a bit concerned that we weren't, so let me just check that. Pretty sure we are, but I just need to check that we are we are live. Good. All right, my apologies, and I will come back to the topic at hand. Right, so I just wanted to check that we were actually streaming to YouTube properly. So it's easy if you're in the UK or Norway to essentially get your foot in the door with Zimmer & Peacock, and I'm sorry that that's the case, but that's just a geographical reality of this. There are three ways of doing postdocs with ZP, and I will cover those as well. There's a PhD way in with Zimmer & Peacock. There's an open PhD at the moment. I appreciate that several of you have already have degrees, or you already have you already have PhDs, so that doesn't work for you. But if you've already got a PhD, then I'll also talk about 2 sabbatical routes in as well that are available to you at Zimmer & Peacock. So if you're in the UK and Norway, it's quite easy. If you're not geographically here and you're not licensed to work, then that is much more tricky. There's 3 postdocs way in, so I'll discuss those. There's 1 open PhD. If you're a master's or an undergraduate, then my recommendation is going to be do your master's thesis with us or do your undergraduate project with us. So I would definitely recommend, if you want to join Zimmer Peacock and you're an undergraduate, then I would definitely get involved with us earlier on, because essentially we like to hire people that we already know, so when people are just random, and just ask us for a job, that's not the way we like to operate, because some people have known us for quite a while, and then they can, essentially, that in knowing us and working with us, then they're essentially on job interview. But if you're more senior, then I think the sabbatical ways in might be also one of the ways in as well. So let me just, and also internships. If you're internships, I think the difference, if you're senior, maybe you call it sabbatical, and if you're sort of younger, maybe you call it an internship. But internships are also a good way in with us as well. Now if I just talk about the postdoc ways in with us, I know that some of you are aware of this already, and I don't know why you're not getting good responses off this, but there is an open postdoc at the University of Southeastern Norway, and it's probably worth looking at their website a bit more often, because USN, they have a campus at a place called Vesterfold. So I'll just say it again, Vesterfold. So Vesterfold is very near a town called Horten, and a lot of the ZP Norwegian presence is in this town called Horten. So I think this postdoc position, I know it's advertised. The professor that's running it is a guy called Erik Johansson. He's essentially a good friend of Zimmer Peacock. For example, he will be doing a webinar. He'll be doing a webinar with us for Amity University in India in a few weeks' time. So he does help us out quite a bit. So if you are senior and you're asking the question, does Zimmer Peacock have postdocs? The answer is yes. Here it is. I'll put a link later on underneath this video, but that is a postdoc that is open at the moment. Now this is also, I've also got a few guys at the moment, or a guy at the moment, applying for a Marie Curie postdoc position with us. So now the problem, Marie Curie's, they're really well funded, and essentially if you apply for a Marie Curie, it's essentially your money, and people think that they have to do them at universities, but actually you can also do them at companies as well. So if you want to get into Zimmer Peacock and you're more senior, you can apply for that postdoc at USN, or you can also do the Marie Curie fellowship, and we have given support to people who want to join Zimmer Peacock with their Marie Curie applications. So Marie Curie is also a way of postdocing. See, essentially it's this: we don't just hire people, we hire people that we know, and to de-risk that, we have to know you, and the only way we can know you is by meeting you and working with you. So if you're senior, you can apply for the postdoc at USN. You can also apply for Marie Curie, which we will also support, and that could also give you a way in. We're also, I was a big fan of the KTP. So the KTP as well is a knowledge transfer partnership. So we're at the moment I'm talking to Newcastle on the behalf of one of our colleagues at the ZP Developer Zone. So the KTP is one way in. We have a KTP at the moment. A KTP is essentially it's a job position, and you bridge between a university and a company. So Zimmer Peacock has a KTP at the moment. We have it with the University of Swansea, and that one's really good. I think whether you get a KTP or not is a little bit dependent on the universities. I got a suspicion the University of Swansea in the UK, a guy called Professor Owen Guy there is very good, and we're very happy with that KTP. So we have a KTP with Swansea University, and there's a guy there who's working for Zimmer and Peacock, and he's spanning the gap between the university and Zimmer and Peacock. So this is the third way of essentially getting a postdoc with Zimmer and Peacock, is actually to do a KTP. Now, in order to get a KTP, you have to be proactive, and so all these ways that I've shown you at the moment, applying for that postdoc with USN, you have to be proactive to do that. In order to do the Marie Curie, you have to be proactive. You have to kind of have an idea, do a submission. We'll support you in that submission. Now the KTP, one of our development members at the moment is doing a KTP, but he was proactive. He found a university and a professor. He said that he wanted to work with them and work with us, and so we're supporting the KTP, and I'm putting a link there. I've got a suspicion that Swansea University is probably the best place in order to do KTPs with Zimmer and Peacock. That's what I'm starting to figure out. I'm just gonna have a quick look at the chat on YouTube. Hi everyone. So the Santosh is here. Okay, cool. Right. So let me just go back to. So it's a slightly different. It's a slightly different presentation today. I'm talking about how to join us. So. If you're senior, there's 3 postdoc ways in. You can apply for that USN postdoc, you can do the Marie Curie, you can do a KTP, but you have to be proactive. You have to find, with the KTP for example, find a professor who's doing biosensors in the UK, tell them that you want to bridge between them and us, and the KTP could be the way to do it, and there's some information about the KTP. I'm going to slightly come down now and sort of, that was for senior people. I will be coming back to senior people in a bit, because some of my last slides will be about the sabbatical as well. Now, under the PhD category, this is in some ways a little easier. If you want to join Zimmer and Peacock as a PhD, then we have a PhD position open, and I do appreciate that a lot of you who watch this webinar have PhDs already, so this is not for you. But I'm trying to address all tiers of ways in. So there is a PhD that's open. It doesn't close until the 1st of October 2021. It's at the University of Plymouth, and that's sponsored by Zimmer and Peacock. So if you don't have a PhD and you want to start interacting with Zimmer and Peacock, then this PhD that's sponsored by Zimmer and Peacock is the best way in. So let me go down slightly. I think I'm coming into the sabbatical category now. So let me talk about sabbaticals. This works well if you're already, let's say, got a position at a government agency, or you have a position at university, and you want to essentially come to the UK and work with Zimmer Peacock for something like potentially 3 months, for example. Now, the reason that we do this is because people just want us to give them, here's a job, come in. But no, I mean, we do want to meet you. We do want to understand that the way you work and the way you present yourselves and our culture work together. So this is something that has worked for us. Ali and Aftab, who come here every week, they know about this. So we had one of the ZP Developer Zone members has only just gone back to his, he's just gone back home, but he was here for 3 months. He was quite happy with it. So what he did is he applied to the Royal Society of Chemistry. They do they have an analytical chemistry trust fund, and they will give grants for people who are in academic positions abroad to come to the UK, stay for 3 months, and come and work at a company. So that's quite good, because that kind of fulfills my criteria that if we're going to hire people, we want to know them already, and therefore it's easy if you're in the UK or Norway, because you can come, you can work with us, but of course If you're outside of these countries, then you need to be fairly proactive, and come into come in that way. I was just looking at the chat quickly, and the quick answer is any openings in India. We are recruiting in India, but what we're recruiting mostly in India at the moment is data scientists. So I would suspect, in order of numbers of people employed, it's highest in Norway, second UK, third is probably India at the moment. So we do hire a lot of people in India. We have a special, what's called HR firm, a human resources firm that we use, but we definitely hire a lot in India. We do it mostly on the data sciences. So it's useful if you have a biocenter background, but if you can code in Python and do AI, then we definitely hire in India. That question just came through. So this RSC Analytical Chemistry Trust Fund, that's been used by one of our ZP Developers Zone members, and as I say, he came to the UK for 3 months and had a good time here. So if you're interested in joining Zimmer Pico, that's not a bad way of getting that sort of 3-month placement with us. So that's worth a try as well. This is also this was just written this morning. What this is we've got one member of the ZP Developer Zone who's been very loyal to us for a good couple of years now, and he's currently at a university, and so he wants to come to Norway for us. And so this is a cover letter that I'm gonna complete for him, and that will allow him then to give it to his university and actually come and do a sabbatical with us for 3 months. And I've agreed, obviously in this one, to pay his accommodation for him. So he wants to ultimately leave academia and join Zimmer Peacock. He's been loyal and working with us for a good couple of years, and I've tried to support him. We've tried a number of things along the way, but at this point now he's going to, I will give him this letter of support. He will come to Norway, stay with us for 3 months, and that will be his his opportunity to kind of essentially get his foot in the door. So what I'm describing are ways of essentially getting your foot in the door with us, and so this is the sabbatical way. The RSC way is great because the RSC will fund your sabbatical. This way, essentially, his university is going to pay his salary, but we're going to pay his accommodation, and so Zimmer Peacock will support you. So if you're at university and you want to do a sabbatical with us, find out how long the university will give you away, find out how much costs they will cover, and then talk to us about helping with the costs on that. So that's a way of, it's probably a good experience, and it's a good way of getting to know us a little bit more. Right, so Rupa's asking the question online, which is, I did my doctoral research in materials-based chemistry, which is great, electrochemistry. I'm from India, I need a postdoc or research position. So I do feel like we've answered that a few times now, but I'll go back slightly and just re-answer it. So, so when I started this presentation, there's a postdoc open in the same town that we are at USN. That's postdoc number 1, that's open. Postdoc number 2 is you have to do some work here. You have to apply for a Marie Curie, but Zimmer Peacock will support people who want to do Marie Curie fellowships. They give you a good salary and good grant for something like 2 years, and you can do it wherever you want. So you would apply for Marie Curie, and you would do it at Zimmer Peacock. So that, it's called both postdoctoral fellowships. So that's the second way in to do a postdoc. If you want to do it in the UK, there's a form of postdoc. It's called a KTP. Here's the link to it. You find a professor in the UK that looks interesting. You approach them, tell them that you might want to do a KTP between that professor and us, and that's how to do it. So that's 3 ways of doing a postdoc. The easiest one is the first one, just do it at USN. That's already funded. The second one is Marie Curie. Marie Curies are tough to get. And the third one is the Marie Curie will work for going to Norway, and the KTP will work in the UK. So we have answered that a few times. As I say, there's a PhD open. The sabbatical category works for people with PhDs, because if you have a PhD and you're a member of the Royal Society of Chemistry, you can apply for this. They'll give you a grant, and you can come to the UK and work at a company. So that works, and we've done that one. This one works for people who have been loyal to us for a while. They're at a university and they're going to take 3 months out, and they're going to come and work with Zimmer Peacock. Now, I am going to come off the postdoc because I have answered that in 3 ways. Now, masters and undergrad, we highly recommend, if you're more junior and you're in your master's level, do your master's thesis with us. Even if it's remote, do it with us. This year we've supported more than 4 master's students. And I know it's more than 4 because at USN alone they had their exams yesterday, and 3 of them got an A and 1 of them's got a C. So we're really happy with that. And it's very rare to get an A at this university. So we supported these master's projects. So they worked with us and then they've done it. That's a great way of getting in with us, because in fact every person who did a master's with us was offered a job, and 3 of them are now full-time employees. So if you're slightly earlier in your career, do your master's thesis with us, because we can then see how good you are, and it makes it easier for us to actually hire you. So look at the master's way. Internships, we have, if any of you follow us on LinkedIn, you will see that there's a bunch of people at the moment posting pictures of Norway because they're doing their internships with us. So if you're more junior and you want to do some time away from university or do a year out in industry, then we do paid internships. I would consider internship. I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat on YouTube, make sure I didn't miss anything. No, I didn't miss anything. Good. So let's just go back to this. And let me just come down a bit. So internships. I think lastly, I just want to kind of, lastly, I'm displaying here ways into Zimmer and Peacock if you, it's easier, it's harder when you're from abroad, but I just want to say lastly this, that Zimmer and Peacock, I think we've got a certificate A, which means the highest level certificate. We are able to sponsor skilled foreign workers to work in the UK. But in order for us, and in 2 years we're allowed to sponsor like 3 people, so we have 3 goes at it, or we're allowed to do it 3 times. The reason I mention this is because if I'm suggesting to you that you do a KTP with us, for example, then at least I know, my heart of hearts, that if you're good and you work out, we can actually sponsor you to be a skilled worker in the UK. We are already certified for that. So I just want to kind of finish a little bit on that. Now what I'm going to do slightly is, we had a technical, this has been a bit heavy on the job front, but we did have a technical question that came in overnight. So I just want to address it very quickly, and I'm sorry I'm going to do it very quickly. A gentleman has ordered some hyper value electrodes that look like this. He wants to turn them into glucose sensors. I'm afraid this only came in about 5 hours ago, so I've only had a brief look at it. He wants to make glucose sensors from it. So I just want to kind of say, if you're using the hyper value carbon electrodes, you'll have to make them a mediated glucose sensor. So you're going to have to put something down like ruthenium purple on that carbon electrode so that it becomes sensitive to hydrogen peroxide. I assume that you're using glucose oxidase as the enzyme, which will produce hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide does not react well on carbon. You're therefore going to have to put a mediator down. Ruthenium purple might be the kind of mediator to use. He wants to know if he can reuse his glucose sensor, so we just I suspect that when you first make your sensors, when you try to reuse them, you'll end up just washing off all the active materials. You'll have a problem with binding. I mean, this is just part of the course when you try and develop a glucose sensor. But once you've got that formulation right, you can reuse these sensors. You have to rinse them with deionized water. I suggest about 1 milliliter. You have to wick off or suck off the off that DI water with a tissue, and then just leave it to air dry. Now, I didn't quite have time to answer this quite the way I wanted, but he's also talking about electrical connections. So let me just very quickly address that. I was very concerned that you're talking about making crocodile clip connections to the screen printed electrode. Crocodile clips will give you very noisy signal. You find it very, very kludgy or very hard to actually connect to them. I think you're going to have to go to accessories, sensor adapters and connectors. Let me try and think. Sensor cable connectors. Yeah, and unfortunately, you're going to need a connector. You're going to need this 7mm connector. It can take what's called 3mm banana plugs. So I'm going to assume that you've got a potentiostat that'll take 3mm banana plugs. So the 3mm banana plugs will plug in the backside of this. So if you want me to answer this question more deeply, just repost it and I'll have another go at it. But if you're going to make a glucose sensor on a carbon electrode and you're using glucose oxidase, you're going to have to mediate it. You could try something like ruthenium purple. Don't make electrical connection by using crocodile clips. It's going to give you a really bad signal, very inconsistent. You're going to have to use a decent connector. I mean, we've got one. If your potentiostat has banana plugs, then you should use this connector, but don't use crocodile clips. I was actually going to show you something about augmented reality, but I realize I've kind of slightly run out of time today, so I won't do that, and maybe I'll just kind of summarize a little bit. So I was going to do something about augmented reality, but I'll leave it. So this has been a long discussion this morning about how to join Zimmer & Peacock. We've just hired somebody new in the UK. It was very easy because he was in the UK. His academic postdoc contract was coming to an end, so we've offered him a 3-month placement, or a 3-month job initially, so that he can get some, we can find out how good he is, he can find out how good we are, make sure it works. If you're not in the UK, there's 3 postdoc ways in. There's the USN postdoc, which is open. There's the Marie Curie, and we are supporting somebody in their Marie Curie in terms of their applying for Marie Curie, and there's also the KTP. And with the KTP, you have to be proactive and find a professor and then introduce us to the professor, and we'll have a conversation with them about it. If you're more junior, there is a PhD available. It's open now, it's at the University of Plymouth. If you're more junior, then do your masters and your undergraduate work with us, even if it's remote, because at least if it's remote, we can start finding out how good you are. If you're more senior, don't forget there's 2 sabbatical routes here. The best one is the Royal Society of Chemistry has a fund, and we've only applied for it once and we were successful the first time, so I think it's actually under applied for. So if you remember the Royal Society of Chemistry, that's a great one in. Other than that, and you're at a university, you can still ask your university to do a sabbatical. You just have to let me know, are they willing to pay your salary, your flights, your accommodation, then we can sort out what they will and what they won't pay for. And if you are younger and you're undergraduate, internships also work well for us as well. Lastly, I just did a quick technical on that glucose sensor, but it's a bit quick. I was going to talk about augmented reality, but I felt like we were running out of time a little bit this morning because of a few problems I had. And I just want to check, make sure I didn't miss any questions. No, I don't think I missed any questions. All right, cool. So let me say thank you for coming along to the ZP Developer Zone. I think, in terms of joining ZP, I've shown, probably approximately 10 ways in with us. They all require something to be proactive, and that's really one of the important things that we're looking for at Zimmer & Peacock. People who can help themselves. We're extremely interested in helping them. It's a very important skill in business. So when I see somebody has an entrepreneurial spirit and they're willing to help themselves, then that gets us much more interested. If it's just, they expect everything to be handed to them, then that's not the kind of person that's going to work out well with us. So anyway, thanks for attending this week. As I say, this forum is normally for technical questions, but we do get asked how can I join Zero Peacock, so I just wanted to kind of give you some ways in. If you're interested in joining Zero Peacock, reach out to us, but I will just point you back towards these links and say these are the ways in. Think about which way works the best for you. Okay, I will say goodbye to you guys this week, and I will. Yeah, thanks, Ali. I appreciate the comment. I'm thinking about you. All right, take care, guys. I will speak to you soon.